Welcome back to the Real Talk Corner podcast, where we dive deep into personal journeys and topics that can inspire and transform us on a mind, body, soul, and spirit level. I'm your host, Ariana Gutierrez, and today we have a truly special episode lined up. Joining me is Kellina Powell, a dynamic deaf coach, international speaker, best-selling author, and a passionate entrepreneur. Kalina has made it her mission to help young adults with disabilities achieve their dreams. And today, she'll be sharing her personal journey and discussing why it's crucial to break through the stigmas surrounding disability. Get ready for an eye opening conversation that will change and challenge perceptions and inspire change within you. Let's get into it. The Real Talk Corner. We back. We in the building. As I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, fighting my way through the darkness where the wicked don't rest. Conscious aware, truth I dare, shield tied to my chest. My tenacity can put these motherfuckers to the test. High priestess of fire, alchemistic desire. I say manifest and shit, even when I am tired. You can call me amazing, by the bricks I be laying, but you'll never call me lazy, cause my vibes are devastating. In the league of my own, spitting real talk energy. I know a little something about a thing called synergy. This is old radio, throw a sending masses awaken me. Listen up, cause we about to set your mind, body, and soul free. All right, welcome back to another episode of the Real Talk Corner podcast. I'm your host, Ariana Gutierrez, and today I have a special guest, Kellina Powell. I'm going to let her talk a little bit about what she does before we get into our theme today.
Thank you so much for having me, Ariana. And hi, everybody. My name is Kellina Powell. I am an author, coach, and international speaker. A lot of people know I am actually a hard of hearing person. I actually became deaf at the age of 4, where it impacted me in terms of, go through mental health and my struggles I faced while growing up. And this is why I do what I do. It's because I want to make an impact for the younger generation and letting a lot of people know that you're not alone in this world.
Right. I absolutely love it because you don't hear a lot of people who advocate for things, right? And this one, there's actually a lot of people who have, whether it is being hearing impaired or being deaf, and those things. And I feel like we actually are not taught these things, right? We're not
Yeah.
even, it's kind of like shoot over everyone's head. And then you're stuck not being able to communicate properly with some people, right? So on the other side of it, does it alienate the other person, right? Of someone not being able to communicate or not being able to understand them or hear them. Can you share a little bit of your journey? Like, how did you get to like coach and advocate? Like, how did you get there? Because I know there's a personal kind of attachment to this, but what made you want to step into that role?
So two stories. The first story was when I was younger. I used to work for a big park in Canada. For those who don't know, I'm actually in Canada, Toronto, and I was working at a big park. A little boy approached me. He was also deaf, and he was hearing aid. My hair was in a ponytail, and I didn't even care. It was super hot that day, and I was like, I'm putting my hair in a ponytail. I don't care who looks at my ears. And then it turned out a little boy came up to me, and he's like, "Oh my God, Mitch, look, I'm deaf too. I wear hearing aid." And the mom came to me full of shock, and she's like, "You just give my son hope because I'm always talking to my son. He is normal. He's fine." And then she said, "Since you made that little, you know, small thing for yourself, you just impact my son, but the world as well." And so that was the first story. So a little very inspired me to really get myself out there, especially the moms who said you're going to make a difference in the world by just doing something like that.
Right.
And the second story is actually my professor, who was my professor my last year of university. He was also deaf too. I
Right.
didn't know he was deaf until he paused the lecture. And he's like, "Hold on 1 second, I'll change my hearing aid battery." And I was like, "You paused the whole movie theater classroom just to change your hearing battery. Oh my god, my mind was mind blowing. I'm like, if he can do it, I can do it too. And I had a great conversation with him after class about how did he come this way. And he said, look, you just came to me. I didn't even know. And I always wanted to make an impact. And he taught me that you never know who's watching you. Just like that little boy came to me. And I didn't realize there's someone out there that's watching and need a voice to be heard. And so that's where the advocacy comes in my business and everything, is because there's not a lot of role models for the disability community who's really out there in the hearing space, especially non-disability community.
Right, right. I absolutely love it because I do believe you don't know who's watching you. You don't know. And I talk about this all the time on so many aspects of just like if you're in the grocery store and you don't know what that conversation with that person will do. And sometimes we get kind of like, "Oh, I don't want to talk to people or, trying to avoid people. But sometimes those are some of the most biggest impacts that we make. We think they're small, but they're actually these waves. I call them,
Yeah.
those waves, right? I absolutely love it. So, what are some of the biggest misconceptions or stigmas behind being deaf?
A lot of people think that people can't talk.
Right.
I feel like that's number one. Like every time, like I put my hand in a ponytail or I'm walking, people look at me like, "Can you talk or no?" Or you need to sign, right? And so I'm like, I talk, and they're like, she talk. It's so funny. I think that's the biggest stigma I face
Mm,
a lot for myself, especially people think I know sign language. Little do people know, I actually didn't learn sign language, or actually I learned sign language at the age of 4. I'm going to a deaf school, but I stopped. My family don't know sign language. I ended up stopped learning it because I went to a hearing school full time after grade 3. So I think that's the biggest option. People think every deaf person do not know how to talk, or every deaf person knows how to sign. Not every deaf person sign. So a lot of people be like, "You can't sign." I'm like, "No." So
right. Like it's mandatory. You're supposed to know.
right, exactly. It's not mandatory, and I feel like a lot of people communication style is so different, especially someone who is hard of hearing or deaf. Like
Mhm.
there's so many, and I feel like people don't understand that there's so many ways to communicate with one another.
Right, right. Definitely. I think that you do it is. It's just we're so, and I call this like the self-awareness, right? We're so unaware of so many things happening around us and we get caught up in that. And so you just keep going with whatever assumptions you have in life until you meet someone who kind of corrects that and you're like, "Oh shit, I did not realize I need to step aside and kind of like let this go." So I love that you're able to do that and be the voice also, and
Yeah.
say, "Hey, no," there's so I think everyone is always put in like one little bubble, right? Everyone deaf, you're put into this bubble, and then it's just like not everybody falls in. There's so many different instances. I do like a part, and maybe this is somewhat of what you advocate for too, is also that stigma that you're somehow not normal. You're somehow out of the bubble of being normal. And I don't even know what the normal
Right.
is supposed to be, but it's just like no, there's. I don't think anything falls. I know we have to categorize stuff because that's
Right.
life and that's science and all of that, but I don't really feel like people are better than the other person or normal or not normal or all of those things, right? I think everyone
Yeah.
has their way of doing things, way of learning, way of speaking,
Right.
way of talking, right? So does that fall a lot into what you have to kind of remind people or get them to understand?
Yeah, consistently is something that a lot of people don't understand, because sometimes there's some people that don't bother advocating for themselves because the
Mm,
consistency needs to be there.
mm,
So a lot of people don't understand how tiring it is because the consistency needs to be there.
right, right. You have to remind people all the time. And I'm
Yeah.
sure you get asked the same stuff over and over and over.
Yeah. Yeah, over and over again. It's the term.
And I know that would be kind of difficult. And again, us on a different side, would not understand that because you're just curious in that way. And
Right.
I know it might be like, oh my God, this is the 20 millionth time someone is asking me this. The cool thing is you actually stay in that advocacy
Yeah.
section and you're like, okay, I'm just gonna stay and teach. Let me stay in this part and teach and not
Yeah.
just get angry and frustrated at at others. Um, I did want to talk about because you also have a book, right?
Yes.
That you wrote. And what's the book called?
Every day I am just deaf.
So what inspired you? Because there's we're going through life, and you could just be living life, right? There's a lot of people that are just living life. They're living with
Yeah.
whatever's going on. But what actually inspired you to say, you know what, I'm going to write about this?
Okay, I'm gonna ask you a question, Ariana. Have you ever read a book by a deaf author before?
I honestly don't know. To be like, how would you know, right?
There
Unless
you go. There you go. There you go. That's literally the reason why. So I had a mentor. She suggested me to write a book, and then she said, "Do research. Ask everybody around you if they read a book by that author." Not even 50%, you guys. 90% of people I asked said no. And
Right,
I was like, maybe this will be a new project coming to action. And I said, no, I'm going to write a book. But what I wanted was something different and unique. So my book is a poetry book. It's not a chapter book, you guys. So don't think it's too long. You guys can read the book. So the book is very poetry. It's really about me being deaf daily basis from the age of 4 to 24. Because I wrote the book when I was 23, and I published it when I was 24. And but yeah, so it's really inspiring people, educating people, and really to talk about what is it like to be deaf daily basis.
right, right. I absolutely love it because you do have to have just a different kind of inspiration that moves you to do things, to put yourself out there, you know,
Exactly.
because it could
Yeah.
be crazy to put yourself out there. So I love that you have pushed yourself and you're pushing yourself to still do that. What keeps you motivated though to do what you do?
My why. A lot of people don't know. My grandmother was the one that raised me, and so she always taught me how to be a lion and never let people disrespect you, no matter what disability you have. And she passed away a month before COVID, unfortunately. And I knew I wanted to carry her legacy until now. And I use my Kellina is my middle name, so I use that to honor my grandma and also my business as well because my business is Clean Empowerment Inc. So that's how I keep motivated, just really understanding why am I doing it and having a very strong why, right? A lot of us don't always have a
Yeah.
very strongest why to keep us motivated, but that's definitely my why.
Yeah, I believe in you have to know why you're doing something, because that will either keep you to do it. You have to be passionate about things, and I do believe that. If you know
Yeah.
your why, you have a passion behind that why. There's normally something very deep of your why, and that gets you up and gets you motivated, to do things. But if you're clueless to that, you can easily use something fascinating for 2 seconds, and it's like, no, I don't want to do that anymore. Um, I also wanted to just talk a little bit about what, what is some of the things that you kind of tell others that you're working with? Do you work mainly with people who are deaf, or is it just like whoever you come in contact to? How does that work on your speaking?
On my speaking, I work with whoever. So I have people reach out to me to talk about a specific topic, and I'm open to any topic. I don't have a specific niche or community. I'm
Mm.
open to speak all because I don't want to limit myself, but my goal was to keep making it the community. Sorry, I want to do it open to lots more audience
Mhm.
because it's very important that people to see that there's a deaf person out there that's really living her fullest life and making things more acceptable for other people. So that's why I don't have specific community. I'm always open.
Right, right. I love that because yeah, just by you doing it, it's just like you're out there doing it. That's the inspiration. You don't really need to talk about it. Just doing other things keeps you in the game. Is there anything that you find that's a struggle with what you do, far as is on this path?
I would say having that mindset, having that positive mindset can trigger a lot of us, especially like myself who come with a package sometimes, right? So I am deaf. I know I need accommodation. I know I need closed caption. I know I can be a package. I know that. So having that mindset saying that I'm okay, I am a package. So again, it's about mindset. Having that positive mindset, telling myself there's going to be someone out there that will accommodate you. Even if you meet someone that who's not willing to do it, it's
Right.
okay because there's going to be someone out there that's willing to do that for you. So I
Right.
think it's more of like the mindset of being okay with your disabilities as well, and being okay to accept that there's other people that may not support you, may not help you, but there's people out there. I know there's going to be people out there that's going to support my business and everything because I know
Mhm.
it's very different and very unique, but that's how, yeah.
Right. S- So what do you do far as your coaching? What are because I know everyone has like a whatever it is, whether it's wellness, So what is your coaching about?
So I just really coach about anybody who's struggling with anxiety, depression, and self-esteem and advocacy.
Mm.
So I focus mainly on the positive psychology. I do not focus on negative psychology just because I know a lot of people are intimidated by talking about their trauma, the past.
Right.
And that's what I notice a lot of times. Like people are like, I don't want to talk about my trauma. I just want to know how do I get to the end goal. Like that's all
Right.
I want to know. So that's why I basically focus on just positive psychology, helping people find themselves again, finding their inner self in
Mm.
terms of how do I build that self confidence, self esteem, and such.
I actually like that. I do understand that the healing process can be gruesome and it can be just one of those things that you just want to be over it. You want to be over
Yeah.
it, done with it. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. Your subconscious is still going to be there with all of that stuff sitting in there. But it's good to have people who do just focus on the positive versus the negative, because
Right.
I think there's the traditional way of doing things, right? Where you
Right.
do it that way, or you can figure out like your touch and the way that you do things. So
Mm.
I'm pretty sure that's a different just kind of scene of not having to, oh, I don't have to talk about my childhood. Like I don't need to.
Yeah, exactly. I have clients with like, thank God. And I'm like, okay. So, yeah.
Right, right. I've done a lot of healing on myself and I remember sitting in some of them like if I have to cry one more time, I'm like I'm over this shit. I'm over
Yeah. And yeah, of course, I would be over it too. I'd be like, I am done. Like, I'm not coming back no more. You know, because some of us be like, I'm not coming back.
it. Right.
So I can completely relate.
So I also wanted to ask too, so how has your entrepreneur journey kind of shaped you? Because you are really young, you're still pretty young on your journey, right? So far, what has really got you into this to motivate yourself to be your own boss? Hands down is one of the hardest things ever to be your own boss, but let's kind of go in yours.
For me, I would, to be honest with everyone, I did not think I was gonna be here. Truly, honestly, I didn't. I knew I need to go to a lot of networking events, a lot of community, be involved in community, just to learn, right? And that's really how I started, was just to learn. And then I realized that, and I also have a 9 to 5 before, and I used to work 3 jobs. It was a struggle to keep up with my personal life. And that's when I realized, like, no, thank you. I want to be my own boss. I want to get my stuff done. And it really got me inspired when I started networking with different people, going to different
Mhm.
community. Like I was super, super inspired by them because if they can do it, I can do it too. Like what's the problem here? All I just have to do is book a one-on-one call with them, ask them for a mentor, and that's what I did. I really put my stuff out there, connect, collab with a lot of people that I don't even think it was gonna work,
Right.
and I joined a lot of Facebook groups just to really understand what the entrepreneur life really like. Cause I'm a person who needs to think before I jump into a situation, before I even make the decision. So I'm that type of person, and so that's why how I realized, like, hey, you know what? Maybe this is for me. But like I told myself, there's always gonna be a plan B,
Mm.
right? So a lot of time people are, even like I have clients who want to become an entrepreneur, but they don't know how to do it. So it's always important to keep your mind open, connect with so many entrepreneurs you can get access to, have a one-on-one call with them, join a networking event, join a community, just ask people. So that's really how it really got me going to an entrepreneur lifestyle, because I know I love to travel. So that's
Mm,
my thing with you guys. So I love to travel. So if I have to book a time off just to go travel. Oh my God, I'm not living life,
right,
So
right,
it happened to me so many times before. So
right. I absolutely love that because it's like I told my daughter this. She's in her late 20s and I'm like, today there's so many more opportunities to live. You do not have to just go and have the 9 to 5 and that's
yep,
it and you're just stuck punching in and punching out. You literally can create your own life, but so many people are still so afraid to get out there, and it does take a certain kind of not only dedication but to get past the fear of what that looks like, right?
exactly. It's the fear that a lot of people face all the time, and I feel like we all fear something in our life, right?
Mhm.
So for me, I was scared because I didn't even know if it's gonna work out. I don't even know if people will like my product. I don't like. I had so many guts in my head too, but you
Right.
have to take that risk.
Yeah. Yeah, gotta jump gotta jump over that. Because you are really, like I said, you are still pretty young, so you are redefining a lot of barriers out there, and just by doing what you're doing, which I think it's awesome. I was what in I had just turned 40 when I decided to leave my job and decided to go off on my own and be my own boss, which was scary as hell. Like, because people think at 40 you're supposed to know everything and you're supposed to have everything in line and you're supposed to have
Yep,
your whole life mapped out, but you definitely can change. It's never too late. You can definitely say, nope, I don't want to do this no more. Boom, let me jump over into whatever seat that may look like, right? Um,
exactly.
do you ever feel like you have to succeed or are you okay to fail as you go?
Oh, I'm okay to failing. How they go? When I tell you guys, I feel so many times in my starting entrepreneur. My time point, I felt so many times. And now I'm just like, I'm okay to fail because that's how you grow. You have to learn
Right.
from your mistakes. If you cannot learn from your mistake, how are you supposed to grow?
Right. Definitely success doesn't come overnight. It's like definitely trial and error, especially when you're doing new things. If you're doing anything
Yeah.
outside of your norm or what you know, it's going to be something of trial and error.
Oh yeah, for sure. I feel like people, like you said, it's not overnight. People think success is overnight, and I don't believe it. And I just rolled my eyes at them, and I was like,
Right.
oh, okay, cool.
That's like the other bad part of today of people just chasing the overnight success kind of instant $1 million package,
Yep,
which is like, yeah, it
all the
doesn't exist.
time, all the time. Like I'm just like, okay, whatever.
Doesn't exist. Maybe for some people. I don't know. Um, so okay, so we went over coach, author, speaker. Do you have any more books coming up that you're working on?
No, so I just launched a collaboration book last week with all the deaf community, church producer, DJ, and whatnot. It was very fantastic. Everybody shared their deaf experience, their deaf stories, who they are, and so I was able to collaborate. That book was amazing, but yeah.
Oh, wow, wow. I'm definitely going to have like your links and stuff in the description. So no matter where you guys are listening or watching, you guys can go and check her out and reach out to her. I did want to say a story though. I found this I have a niece who she actually works in childcare. So like, daycare.
Yeah, I
Ages.
used to work at a daycare.
And she had her daughter and she ended up teaching her daughter sign language, which made my brother and his wife like, wait, what, is she okay? Like, because she signs, which I thought that was amazing. When I really sat and thought about it, I was like, man, if all of us were taught that, we actually could have communicated with our children better,
Right.
because in the first 2 years when they can't speak,
Yeah, it's
they'd be
true.
able to sign
It's
and they'd
true.
be
Sign
able
language is
to.
beneficial.
Right. So it blew me away. And that's where I say where sometimes we just like we just are not given the knowledge we need, because that to me, I feel like you would think like, oh, I only need that if if this is the case, but it's just like no, because there's so many people that you could actually deal with, especially with children, especially having children and being able to understand them and understand when they're crying and stuff. So I thought that was pretty awesome of what she's doing, and she's going to have another one, and she's going to teach them also. So I just thought
Mm,
that was pretty awesome. Got to give her props on here of doing that. But I just thought it was like, and we think, why I can only learn that if I'm dealing with someone deaf, or I can only learn that if I'm in the space of that.
right.
Like, yeah, no, there's actually all of these other reasons that you could use it or utilize it and have it available, you know.
Exactly. Yeah.
Luckily, I have the caption, so if they're watching on YouTube, the closed caption comes on, and
Right. Yeah.
but I don't like the closed caption though because it kind of messes up some of the words. So it's not all
Yes, a lot.
I'm like,
Yeah, especially on YouTube. Oh my god, that's literally my life, you guys. For those who are just wondering, yes.
yeah, YouTube is like the worst of messing up all the words, and I'm like, that's not what I said. It's not what I said. Um, um, do you have any like hardships through what you're, because it feels like your journey, even with many struggles, is really good. You have a vibrancy about you, so regardless, you're staying in this beautiful energy, and I love that. But is there any real struggles that you have to like face, that you have to go, okay, I got to put on my smile today and I'm not really feeling it, or I gotta, not, I don't want to say pretend, because sometimes we're just always have a mask on sometimes, but there
Okay. That's a good question. Of course, I do put a mask face on because, especially when I'm going to a networking event, I am nervous sometimes
Mhm,
because I don't know what to expect. I don't know what type of people I'm meeting. Am I going to be okay? Am I able to hear them, knowing that there's a lot of loud noises in the networking event, right? That people, you're
mhm,
hearing everybody talking, and you're like, can I truly understand what this person's understanding, what they're doing? So I think that's definitely
mhm,
one of my biggest struggles, especially when I started my entrepreneur journey, because I was doing a lot of like face-to-face networking, and I realized that it can be hard to understand some people. And
mhm,
I'm nervous to say, can you repeat that again? Because some people can be ignorant sometimes when you ask them to repeat something multiple times. But again, it was loud, so I think that would be my hardship with actually going out there in the real world and really facing that struggle that I have, knowing that
mhm,
they don't know because they can't tell them that. My hair's covering my ear. Like, so it's like, should I show my ears? Should I not? So I just, that whatever my mood is, I will do it. But that's definitely my hardship for sure.
right. I think we all go through that. There's a lot of times I don't understand people, and I'm like, wait, what? What did you say? And that's because accent it plays a very big part of it. People's accent and where they're from and certain words that they use. And I think we just don't, we take it for granted. We're just like, huh? What?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I do love that. I do commend you. Like I said, anytime you're stepping into a role to be the inspiration is not easy. It is scary, but I think the light that you're carrying again is one of those ripples in the waves that is going to help just be that light. It's not something that you always see. You don't hear about it, right? So just like you asked me,
Exactly.
have I ever read a book? It's like, no, not that I could ever think of. I've never heard anyone say they're a deaf person writing, and I'm reading this book. So it's like you just where you're starting and where you're pushing is helping to open up that door, right?
Yeah.
And say, let's not only bring kind of an awareness to it, but also, hey, we exist. Like
Exactly.
we're here.
Exactly.
We're not just in the dark shadows.
You got. Yeah.
What advice would you give anyone who maybe is deaf or maybe dealing with someone? What advice would you give them?
So sorry, guys. And the advice I would give them is don't be afraid to be who you are, because there are going to be people out there that are going to need you and your personality, and you just never know who's watching you. You gotta keep going. Yes, they're gonna be hard days, but it doesn't mean that life is done. When I became deaf before, did I say my life was done? No. So yeah, so my advice would be Never give up on yourself, especially you just never know who's watching you and who needs your support. But yeah.
Awesome. I absolutely love it. Thank you so much for coming on and just chopping this up and just talking about this. I think what you're doing is absolutely wonderful. And I hope that you continue because I just, like I said, I feel like what you're bringing is something different. And it's definitely an eye opener, just sitting here talking to you, what you said, it makes you think, that kind of like expansion of awareness. And that's what we want. Open the door and be like, oh, I didn't think about that.
Exactly.
But you absolutely have a beautiful, beautiful soul and beautiful energy. So please do not stop what you're doing. And again, you guys, as always, until next time, bye.